A lot of atheists, they don't like the stigma of being an atheist. They feel that they're in a very small minority of people. And so what they do is they want to include agnostics in their group. By saying, you're not agnostic, you're an atheist as well. And as far as I know, an atheist means a person who is atheistic, no belief in God. Belief in God is theistic, A is not, so not believing in God.
A quick video to demonstrate why, as an atheist, you believe there is no God, regardless of how strong your atheism is. What is belief? The best definition I can come up with is thinking that something is true. So obviously the theist think is true is the existence of God. What the atheist thinks is true is the non-existence of God. I'm sure as an atheist you are perfectly able to say what you think is true is that God does not exist. So you don't know that God doesn't exist. The best you can do is think that God doesn't exist, and that there is your belief. So basically when I say I don't have horns, or I lack a tail, or I don't have 10 legs, then all of those statements are true, but they aren't true about me. They're true about what I'm not, and there's the difference. When we get into the more advanced concept of application of truth, from my understanding is that when we want to talk about the existence of an object, if we have a truth about an object, it must exist. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. So if I think is true, then I am must be true. So what I think, therefore I am, is really saying is, if I think is true, or if I pee is true, or if I eat is true, then I am must be true. It can't be true that I eat or pee or think if I don't exist. So effectively this boils down to saying that the primary predicate of a statement must exist if a statement is true. When we use the logical operator not, then we're talking about secondary predication. When we talk about what we're not. Okay, a statement is true, but it's true about what we're not about what we are.
Because of what limited descriptive power it has. Atheism, I said, cannot tell you anything about what my beliefs or views actually are. It can only tell you one specific thing that is not a part of my views. Other than that, there is no single worldview or epistemology or ontology that the word atheism represents.
I've noticed that a lot of people become annoyed when told that their views are atheistic. Most of them prefer to self-identify as agnostic or some other term, and some just don't wish to be identified as atheist because it's not the sum totality of who they are. Frankly, I'm fine with both of these attitudes, but I disagree with both. Firstly, a lot of people in the first category incorrectly think that an atheist has to be someone who has determined that there is no God. But if atheism refers to belief, not cognitive knowledge or certitude, then this isn't the case. I have a friend with a cat named Caesar. She spells the cat's name C-E-A-S-E-R. This is fine, it's her cat after all, but to everybody else it's misspelled. So just know that if you think there's probably no God in the sense that everyone has ever defined it, if you live your life as if there is no God, or at least none that matters, if you don't waste your time on theistic considerations, then you may call yourself agnostic, but to everybody else, you're just misspelling Caesar. On the other hand, if you recognize your own atheism but still maintain that you don't define yourself as atheist, well, I don't define myself as short. I identify myself as an atheist, heterosexual, Democrat, but I'm 5'4", and everyone who sees me identifies me as short. We are what we are. Then there's the other problem, the problem of confusing and overlapping descriptors. There's strong and weak atheism. There's positive and negative atheism. There's apatheism. There's humanism. There's pluralism. There's anti-theism. There are those who wish to be called brights. There's Randian objectivism. There's materialistic naturalism. There's free thinking. There's secularism. And to muddy the waters even more, there's deism and scientific pantheism. The problem here is one that I will illustrate with an allegory from history. In 2000, many liberals who were disgusted with politics as usual in the U.S. voiced that disgust on the ballot by casting their vote for the Green Party candidacy of Ralph Nader. Nader actually managed to wind up with 2% of the total vote this way, which was a larger percentage than the margin of difference between Al Gore and George W. Bush. How did those turn out for those liberal voters? Similarly, in 2009, in New York's 23rd Congressional District, a seat which had been held by non-Democrats for over 100 years went to a Democrat because the conservative vote was split between a Republican candidate and a candidate representing a new party which had formed from the Tea Party movement. Just saying. Incidentally, those who identify as agnostic over atheist frequently cite Thomas Huxley, who coined the term agnostic in reaction to accusations of atheism. But Huxley was doing so as a reaction against atheists claiming certain knowledge. In fact, in 1863 he wrote, "I have by nature and disposition the greatest possible antipathy to all the atheistic and infidel. Nevertheless, I know that I am, in spite of myself, exactly what the Christian would call, and so far as I can see, is justified in calling atheist and infidel. I cannot see one shadow or tittle of evidence that the great unknown underlying the phenomenon of the universe stands to us in the relation of a Father who loves us and cares for us, as Christianity asserts." Huxley recognized that his views were atheistic, but he chose to identify otherwise, so he called himself agnostic. Fine, whatever. When I look at him, I still see a guy who misspells Caesar. So what is atheism? Who do I feel justified in identifying as an atheist? Well, if a theist is one who believes that there is a God, then an atheist is anyone who does not believe there is a God. Whether that person claims knowledge that there is no God, asserts that it is not possible to know if there is a God, considers those who do maintain that there is a God as deluded, allows that those who maintain that there is a God may have reasons yet is not personally convinced, whether one is actively opposed to belief in deities or continues to examine the evidence for a glimmer of God's existence, or is epistemologically disinterested in the issue, or even if one embraces theism by changing the definition of theism to mean something more comfortable, such a person is, by definition, an atheist because that person does not presently hold that the answer God done it seems likely. Welcome to the fold. So I'm an atheist. To be more precise, I'm an atheist who holds that belief in deities is unjustified given the evidence, but recognizes that the non-existence of God cannot ever be established scientifically, wishes for a society where religion is marginalized, continues to trust the scientific method and my perception of reality, and therefore works for the betterment of this life for all and sundry without concern for doctrine or dogma. I am a phenomenas atheist. Screw it, I'm an atheist. I'm a Democrat, heterosexual, atheist, who also happens to be short. Thank you.